So hello everyone and welcome to our first video on conversational Japanese. Now I wanted to start making a series of videos that are not too long and hopefully relatively painless that talk about conversational Japanese and help people learn how to speak Japanese as well as understand the pronunciation. Now I do want to focus a lot of time on the pronunciation part just because of the fact that just like Japanglish doesn't particularly sound like English, westernized Japanese doesn't particularly sound like native Japanese. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time to focus more on how to speak Japanese in a pronunciation similar to what the native Japanese would pronounce it, and make a series of videos that are hopefully relatively easy. Now it's going to take a little bit of time because each one of these are going to be very short, but I'm hoping that as we go along, and if you follow along with me, then you'll get a chance to understand a little bit about conversational Japanese. So to begin the lessons, I want to focus on the very basics and start with the Japanese alphabet, which is often called hiragana or katakana or the kanas. And the reason I want to do that, even for conversational Japanese, is because Japanese, unlike English, is a very phonetic-driven language. So what you actually see in the letters is exactly how it sounds. The nice thing about that is that you will know basically from the spelling of the word exactly how it sounds, because there are no other sounds that come out through the combination of two letters, which you often see in other Western type languages. Now, the reason I want to start with the basic fundamentals of the alphabet is that's where the foundation of pronunciation starts. And if we skip over this and try to go to words right away, then what happens is you end up using the Western style phonetics or phonics to try to pronounce the words, and that's where the problems get compounded and people end up mispronouncing words. So I'm going to try to focus a lot of time on the pronunciation, and this may be a little bit difficult for me to explain, but I'll try to see how far we can go with that. And because of that, the first part or the first video will be focusing on the first 5 letters of the alphabet. Now, the Japanese alphabet basically consists of 51 phonetically driven letters. Now, there are other letters that exist in the alphabet or the language, and those come from the modification of those 51 letters using 2 dots or a circle. But overall, you could consider those 51 letters to be the basic foundation of the Japanese alphabet. The letters are divided up into 10 columns of 5 letters each, and then 1 additional column that has 1 letter, which is called the sound. So as mentioned previously, for this video we will be covering the first 5 letters in the Japanese alphabet, which consists of the first column. And those letters happen to be what you might consider the vowels of the Japanese language. And those 5 letters are the letters A, I, U, E, and O. And if you combine them, then it's pronounced Aiueo. Now, I do want to re-emphasize that when you pronounce these letters, try not to pronounce them using the English phonics equivalent. So, for example, the letter E, or the Japanese letter E, does sound like the English long E sound of E, but it isn't E, it's E. And so try not to use the phonics of another language when you pronounce it. Instead, try to sound it off as if you've heard this independently. Okay, so the first letter in the Japanese alphabet is the letter A. And it does sound like the A sound that you often see in English words such as above. However, it's not a A sound, but it is A. So it is closer to something as you would say if you were to say the word what. It's a much more shorter pronunciation, a staccatic pronunciation, and most of the vowels are. So try not to use the pronunciation for this the specific letter. Instead, go with the pronunciation a. So as a quick example, let's take the name of the evil shinobi clan in the famous Japanese anime Naruto. And if you were to take the Western spelling of that name and the Western phonics, then you would pronounce it Akatsuki. But of course, it's not Akatsuki because the A sound is not A, but it's A. So the Japanese pronunciation of that same name will be Akatsuki. Now the next letter in the Japanese alphabet is the letter E. And although it sounds like the long E sound in the English pronunciation, it isn't E, but it's a shorter E sound. So make sure that you do sound it as E and not E. Okay, so moving on, the third letter in the Japanese alphabet is the letter U. And although it does sound like the double O sound in the English language of U, it's not U, it's U. So make sure that you don't pronounce it as a U sound. Also, try not to make it sound like you were punched in the gut like a sound, but it is a U. So yeah, practice on that and see if you could get it, shorten that sound to a U sound. Okay, so the fourth letter in the Japanese alphabet is the letter E. And just like with the others, it's not a longer A sound like you might expect it to be, but it is a E sound. So make sure that you do keep it short and staccatic, just like with the other vowels in the Japanese language. And finally, the fifth letter in the Japanese language is pronounced O. So just like the long O sound, which may be O, it is a shorter version of that, so in a pronunciation way, not in a phonics way. So make sure that it is a O, not a O sound. And that does complete the first column of the Japanese alphabet. And if you combine them all together, again, it's A, I, U, E, O. Or faster, A, I, U, E, O. Or as the Japanese might pronounce it at that speed, Aiueo. So yeah, let's keep on going with this. I'll go over the next 5 letters in the next video, and it should be shorter because I won't be having to explain this entire thing and my lessons in the following videos. So I'm gonna keep them as short as possible, and hopefully as we keep on going, you'll be able to pronounce each of these letters in the way they're expected to be pronounced. Anyway, as always, it's a pleasure making these videos for you. I hope you find these to be useful. Thank you very much for watching the videos. And if you have any comments, please post them in the section below. We wish you all the best. And as always, Jaya, nice day, everyone.